who can take a meat hook and slice across your neck. The Candyman can. Yes, welcome back to CinemaBurger, where I bring you movie reviews with a different perspective. Today we're here to talk about the new Candyman. Now, it is a sequel to the original Candyman from 1992, and it stars Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Teyana Paris, Coleman Domingo, with a cameo by Tony Todd. It is written and directed by Nia DaCosta, as well as written by Jordan Peele. Now, this movie takes place in present day. It stars Yahya as an artist and Teyana Paris as like a gallery exhibitor who they're together, and he's featured in her art exhibitions. So they come to Chicago, they come to Cabaret Greens, which is a gentrified area in Chicago where the original Candyman actually took place, unbeknownst to them. Now, I don't want to get into spoilers because there's a lot of good stuff here, but basically, he, looking for inspiration, Yahya looks around, like, the gentrified areas and sees a local person living there who's Coleman Domingo. He runs a laundromat, and they talk about, like, the hate crimes done to African Americans, and over the years, and how the townspeople deal with it. They talk about that the Candyman did it. Now, the current incarnation of Candyman was a homeless guy who apparently, like, gave kids candy and was suspected of putting razor blades in candy, and after he was killed, the razor blades was still found in candy. So he was just a homeless guy trying to be nice. He was a little messed up, and he did have a hook for a hand. But also, the guy who owns the laundromat tells them about the other story of Candyman, about Daniel Robiton and the events of the first movie, that it was thought that Virginia Madsen's character had, like, killed the baby or something, and there's, like, a ritualistic sacrifice every, like, 2 or 3 decades. But pretty much, they learn about the legend of Candyman, where you say his name 5 times in a mirror, he appears and kills you. So, of course, thinking it's fake, Yahya tries it, and he starts to see weird things, and he starts to paint more about Candyman and things like that. Now, what's interesting is, while this movie is a horror movie, it's also a social commentary on how people are treated and the treatment of African Americans, still today and in the past. Now, Yahya plays a character named Anthony, who's the painter. He first tries some exhibition about Candyman that doesn't get a lot of attention from art critics, but once murders start to happen, they take an interest in him and his girlfriend, who's the art exhibitor, and they're only interested in them because so much buzz and news about the murders is surrounded by their names in the art gallery, even though they're not actually doing it. So it's also about how people get used and abused. So there's a multi-layer aspect to this movie. And also, this movie's only an hour and a half, and it does what it needs to do. It accomplishes its goal in an hour and a half. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Honestly, I wanted more by the end. While the new Candyman movie isn't, like, stereotypical scary or what you would expect, the plot is just very interesting, how it connects to the first one and the messages it's trying to convey. It's great performances from Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Teyana Paris, and very surprised by Coleman Domingo. I mean, I've only seen him in a few things, but he usually sticks to a certain type of role, and this time he really surprised me. Now, I highly recommend Candyman. I suggest watching at least the original first if you haven't, because you'll have a lot of the context. And this is a great sequel, especially being made about 30 years later. Because usually sequels that take place so many years later or made later are pretty bad, like Dumb and Dumber 2, Zoolander 2. This is a good example of a sequel slash... It's kind of like a remake, but it's also a sequel. It's really a sequel, but in a way it's introducing Candyman to a new generation. I give Candyman I give it 4 out of 5 burgers. I don't want to give it a 5 out of 5 just because, like I said, I wanted a little more, like, killing and stuff. Like, there is some, of course. Oh, there's a good camera angle of the camera zooming out of an apartment complex and you see someone being killed as the camera is zooming out. Now, of course, it's a CG effect, but it's very well done because of the zooming out effect. But, and of course, there's a cameo at the end. I'm not going to say who, but I was hoping for more with that character. But, yeah, 4 out of 5 burgers, I highly recommend. I want more horror movies like this. Plus, it was written and directed by a black female director and writer, and they have a top movie in the box office right now, which is very rare. Alright, I'm Scott Burger, and I'll see you next time.